Всем привет! Снова HackAtom RU с
Hey
вами.
everyone, HackAtom back online, HackAtom.ru, the first ever Cosmos hackathon in Russian. We're carrying on our workshops for Cosmos developers. Today we have Vadim Mozharovskiy. He'll be talking about turning on-chain data into an analytical tool. He was going to tell you the story about the Cosmos Explorer, Cosmos
Привет,
Scan.
всем привет.
Hey Vadim,
Да,
you can hear us, you can see us, perfect. Likewise. Now, dear friends, if throughout the workshop you have any questions to Vadim, please make sure you type those into the chat box on YouTube. Alternatively, you can do that in the Hackers Telegram channel. That's the chat you can use for other purposes. Feel free to engage in conversations, talk to other guys, talk to your colleagues. And after the workshop, so today's workshop is not going to last long, it's not supposed to last long. I will ask all the questions related via those channels
Да, немножко
to
о себе.
Vadim.
Зовут
Okay,
Вадим,
Vadim, you have the floor.
разработчик компании
Just a few
HackAtom.
words about
Наша
myself, IT
компания
Club. My name is Vadim.
разработкой
I'm a developer
различных
with IT Club. Our company
applicationов
develops various
сфере
applications
в том числе эксплореров,
in the blockchain domain, particularly explorers, analytical toolkits, and so on and so forth. My topic today is turning on-chain data into an analytical tool. The analytical tool is deemed to be our project, Cosmos Scan. This is the analytical tool in mind. This is some kind of explorer, but it lacks the information specifically per block, per transaction.
Здесь упор сделан больше на аналитическую информацию.
It is geared towards analytics, various charts, diagrams, spreadsheets, tables, and so on. I will tell you the pitfalls that we've encountered during the development, the upsides and downsides when working with this Cosmos data. I will talk about the tech stack that we've used. Now, a few words about the Cosmos proper. I've identified two key elements, the code base. First is Tendermint. At the top there, Tendermint is kind of an engine to reach consensus. It's not just used in Cosmos, but also in other projects, as well as Cosmos SDK, that's number two. Cosmos SDK is a kind of a framework to create new blockchains. Based on these tools, using these tools, Terra, Oasis, Binance DEX, and Cosmos itself. These blockchains were created based on these two tools. Both these projects are written in Golang. Cosmos node, what is that? That's the principal source of data coming in from blockchain. This is the core data source. Cosmos offers various tools to access this data. You can use the terminal, the command line, the CLI client, command line interface. You can use gRPC, protobuf, code generation, cool gizmo. There is an API in JSON format. There is a Rosetta wrapper as well that also has its own standards of its own. If I'm not mistaken, Rosetta supports not just Cosmos alone, it's other blockchains. If you're interested, just Google Rosetta and you'll find the relevant info. gRPC was not around when we were creating this project. Something like it was available, Cosmos. But we decided to use the API JSON format. It's all clear and straightforward. This is the API itself. Let me just briefly tell you that it's very smart. It's very cool coded. I mean, it's great coding. No challenges in using it whatsoever. And in practice, and I've parsed quite a few blockchains in my career, there were cases when the API returned fields like int, and the string came back. So we had to make jury-rigged solutions in the parser, because if a block comes back, is returned, I ask specifically not to read the specific field in the transaction. Otherwise, the parsing will come back with an error. There's no such thing, no such serious issues with Cosmos. It's a huge upside, I believe. Right.
Немножко расскажу о хабах.
Now, in a nutshell, about the hubs, when there are some global changes going on, happening in cosmos, this triggers switching to a new hub. There were 4 hubs in the recorded history of cosmos. Each new hub starts with the snapshot of the previous hub. All the information about balances and so on and so forth is replicated to the new iteration of the hub. And each iteration came from block 1. I mean, everything started from the very beginning. It's not as convenient, especially the last iteration. Additional fields of hubs were supposed to be added. Database separation was an issue. By the way, if you put in a specific hub, you need to install a specific version of the node. For 4 hubs to be operational, you need to run all 4 versions of the node, Cosmos node. And they are supposed to have the information, at least know where to get the information from, if we were to post it now, say. Also, there was another issue when we went, when we moved to hub number 4, the most recent event didn't happen that long time ago. The endpoints in API, they became obsolete. They all had to be deleted, and we put together a new API. They put together a new API. Most likely it's related to RPC or gRPC development, but that was a bit of a drag at the time. On the other hand, the blocks continued their operations. Block number 4 did not start from the very first block. The blocks continued iteration from later. It's a great thing. Now, what I'm showing here is the response of the endpoint that returns the block. It's all pretty straightforward. There is a height, there is hash proposer, transactions, who the validator was, all the validators participating in a specific block. Everything is intuitively simple. Right. So I've also ensured the transaction, it's written up properly. The amount from whom. You don't need to count the byte. So all is intuitive and simple.
Так, мы разобрались с
Exodus, small ad break from Exodus. Right, so we were digging up the data. Now, I've shown you how Cosmos worked. There came a time to choose the technology. We decided to select the parser, and we were supposed to come up with a solution for the database, which DB we were supposed to use. We went for ClickHouse because the way I see it is that this is the perfect tool to store historic data. Blockchain data is part of the story because the story doesn't change. It's history. It's set in stone. The ClickHouse DB processes select queries very quickly. No update, no delete is there. Select is very fast. It doesn't take that much storage space either, by the way. I'll proceed to talk about that a bit later. But since it can't to update or delete, we had to run at least one more database to maintain the state. It is not cumbersome. We just took my MySQL and basically it's doing well. It's doing well in what it is supposed to do. There was the information about proposals and validators. There's nothing else. MySQL is storing only that. The bulk of the information is stored in ClickHouse. The selection of programming language was also obvious. First of all of Cosmos is written in Go language, and we had the developers who are also Go coders. It's fairly simple, the language. It's fairly performing, good performance, efficient, easily parallelized. Why not? And I also listed the Cosmos node as a dependency, as the part of the technological stack. This is the application where we're getting information from. Now, I've also tried to put together a chart of Indexer, a bit of a simplified version. There is Cosmos node, there are fetchers.
Процессы, которые в параллели
Fetchers are some kind of
получают информацию.
certain sort of processes that in parallel receive information from the node. Their quantity is dynamic. The faster we want to dump the blockchain, the more fetchers there's going to be. Also, well, to do it faster, you need more fetchers. All the information that fetchers got is fed into the channel Go language tool. It is fed into the next module, where it's parsed, sorted, and when the data had become sorted, the batch of those gets into ClickHouse. As soon as ClickHouse had stored the data, MySQL is at least MySQL immediately records that height, MySQL update, and that's an endless process. There's another module that sets the height. The point is not to have the height higher than the previous block, the most recent block. I tried to show the DB inner workings of ClickHouse. As you can see from this image, the DB itself does not have any indices, any connections. It selects data very quickly, and it's very easy to build any charts using it. At the same time, it's quite efficient in terms of disk storage space. It's very storage saving. So this is the layout of the application itself. There are two databases, MySQL ClickHouse and ClickHouse. There is Cosmos node where we're picking the data from. There could be several of those, but it's not that important. Also, another source is used to receive the volume of trade, volume of transactions, and the price. You can replace that tool with any other server, any other service. And the application itself leverages two modules. Is the indexer proper? By the way, why we decided to put together our own indexer and not borrow some third-party solution? Well, essentially, there were other indexers available at the time. However, as the practice showed us, there are issues using other indexers in the project. First and foremost, oftentimes there is a lack of a specific category of data. If we want to build a specific chart, oftentimes we run into this issue. We do not have the spreadsheet, or that spreadsheet is resting somewhere with incomplete data, or the data is in the wrong format. So you either need to parse it in parallel, or ask the developers of that other third-party indexer to fix all that. But since we already had some groundwork that we've done for other projects, particularly for Cosmos, we had done some groundwork initially. So we used the groundwork to write our own indexer. API server is another module here. That's the server that gives HTTP requests. It makes SQL requests. ClickHouse, and it feeds everything to the outside. Front end is written in React, if I'm not mistaken, and there's browser listed here, just kind of a background process. Right. So what do we have as an outcome? The outcome is all kinds and flavors of charts. Transfer volume. We see volumes of aggregate. It's aggregatable per day, per hour, per year. It's not the transfer volume that we're used to seeing on an exchange. It's the amount of transactions or the transfer volume through the blockchain. Commission fee volume, delegations volume, blocks proposed, voters efficiency, voters activity. It is all mappable to charts. So leveraging the data that we have, using the data that we have, basically it takes just a lot of creativity and time, and you can basically come up with pretty much anything. If you guys have any cool idea, well, go to Cosmos Connect. There are links to front end and back end of our project. You can message us. You can put together your own API, or you can write to us. We will definitely consider that. So this is how it goes. That's basically it for my part.
Okay, cool. So it was very, sorry.
Okay, that was a super short workshop, more like a report. Maybe I should check the questions. I see none in the Russian chat box. Yeah, I believe that this has been the fastest workshop to date. Right, this Pavel is writing something. Maybe he will ask a question. Yes, there is a question to the speaker. The first one. Lab ClickHouse. You're not storing and you're not changing state all the time. The state is stored somewhere and updated somewhere separately. Yeah, like I said, the state is stored in MySQL because, like I said, ClickHouse is not friends with update. There's no such function as update or delete. There's no way to update or delete information. MySQL handles that. That's the only downside of ClickHouse. At the same time, this is also the upside because it's built this way. It's only processing select, but it does so rapidly, super rapidly. The state is stored in a different database. Even if some failure did happen, some malfunction did happen, something that was not recorded in MySQL, we can re-record it into ClickHouse because ClickHouse can glue data together. There are specific commands that to be run. If there are duplications, it can merge data, like glue it together. By the way, for ClickHouse, regarding ClickHouse, we had several issues. We've had several issues because it would return errors several times throughout the history of our use. Cosmos Scan up and running. It's been up and running for about a year. Issues with virtual memory, issues with RAM. We had those with ClickHouse. However, this was fixed by adjusting the configuration files, the configs. That's all it took to fix that. So I believe that this sort of issues still make it worthwhile to use ClickHouses. They're not too significant. If there is a big request for processing of queries, so you can use a cluster. In some other projects, we're using clusters, not just a standalone ClickHouse. You have one ClickHouse cluster with a single host. Yes, for Cosmos Scan, it's more than enough. It works like a charm. You don't have to have a multitude of hosts. There are also blockchains where the information is more abundant, there's more data and more queries. Essentially, you can separate that into clusters. Okay, so you can put together a cluster, not multiple nodes. The third question. You're not recording blocks into the indexed block in turn or turn by turn. For example, sometimes, yeah, we do it sequentially. We do it sequentially. They're not receiving these blocks. We're recording them one by one. That module is responsible for sorting. I mean, those blocks are sorted when they get there. And then the batch is collected or turn by turn, one by one, depending on the load. Then they end up in the database. They end up in the database one by one, consecutively. I've run this open source project with Parser. It's not the first version. We tried to simplify it as best we could, and we tried to reserve the most efficient options. Can you provide links to the chat so that the guys can track that? I myself am interested. The next question. Do you check the correctness of indexation? And if yes, how? So how do you check the validity of indexation? Maybe it's end-to-end tests or something. Validity of indexation. We check it manually, most likely. There are some pre-prepared, pre-made queries. Say, most trivial situation. If we know that we need that query to be processed, then there should be that many blocks in our database, and we know the number of iterations. So it's more of a manual kind of stuff, just crunching the numbers. No automated stuff at this point. Maybe in the future we'll fix that. Right, there's another question. What is the size of the database with respect to what is the size of the database in relation to the distributed archives of blockchain chains or archives with pruning? How much do indexes take up? Well, essentially, there are no indexes. That's the essence. Let me copy-paste that link to you. And I'll tell you the size of the DB in relation to the distributed archives of blockchain chains. Archives with pruning. There are no indices. The spreadsheet's format is different. We could have taken Postgres and put together huge spreadsheets with a whole bunch of indices, but it takes too much RAM. It takes up too much memory. In this case, the columns are stored differently. The format, storage format is different. They are stored differently, and they do not require index. So essentially, all the columns are aggregated very rapidly because the information comes in turns, consequentially, sequentially. So there are no indices. Like I said, you can read this up, read up on this online. I will not be able to give you the specific numbers right now for storage space. It's a good compression. I believe that it's much better than using a relative DB. Oh, relational DB. It's a relational DB. So, because of compression, it takes up significantly less time, less space. I forgot to unmute myself. This is the first. This is the next question. The link to repository. Oh, I put this on YouTube. I put it to YouTube. I'll replicate it to the Telegram channel. Juno from Desmos Labs. You know that? No. No, haven't seen it. Which SDK are you running the project? It's from Valery Litvin. Which SDK? Which SDK is underpins the current project? Well, I can't really say. What is meant by this question? Okay, Valera, could you please elaborate on the question? Yeah, please elaborate. Okay, let's read out the next one. Do you grant access to your databases?
Нет, мы,
No.
может и быть и не против, вот.
Maybe we wouldn't mind granting access to our databases, but we have dedicated servers where we're running the projects. Granting access to everyone is not exactly reasonable. However, it's possible. If a request like that comes our way, we will be able to separate the databases and grant access. But most likely, to this end, it takes a cluster to be created to get that result. It's a whole lot different story, but possibly, yeah, in the future, it might be possible. And probably the most recent question, maybe Valery's question was not to you, but to somebody else, a participant of Hackathon. Same questions. So do you store additional data that cannot be obtained from full nodes and archives? That's a question. For example, contract addresses and related projects or something. No, we don't store additional data. We don't. Maybe in the future. All right, I believe this was the final question. Give me some time to check. Bear with me. Stargate change, do you support that? SDK, yeah. this kind of SDK was meant. This was a question to you after all. Stargate.
Я не знаю, не могу ответить.
I'm not really certain about that.
Что значит цепочки не поддерживаете? Ну, последнюю версию, у нас стоит сейчас последняя версия.
The most recent version of the SDK is installed.
Новая API-шка, мы с нее
It is running. The new API is running.
Выходит, что да.
So yeah, I believe we're using that.
Неправильно понял вопрос.
Maybe I haven't understood the question correctly. Yeah, possibly, yeah. If you're not on the Telegram channel with the hackers, I'll just add you there, and you can communicate with them. If there are questions from the YouTube chat, I can take them later. Yeah, sure, great. I think that's it for the questions. Let's give it another minute, or not. Let's continue this way. We'll just we'll just move to the Telegram Hackathon channel. Guys, if you're interested in this workshop, please dive into the chat room, and looking forward to talking to you there. And we're looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. Another workshop is coming. HackAtom.org is the website to go. We have great prizes, awesome sponsors. Feel free to participate. Yeah, thank you guys for listening. I hope this information was useful to you. Thank you.